Wow. Now, you know what? Now, I think this is a really good thing that you two guys have got going here.
Thanks, man.
Now, take it from a groundbreaker like Ron Simmons. He knows something good when he sees it. Damn!
Y'all heard it from him.
Hey, Wrestling World, keep up with the culture and listen to this episode in full on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to give us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and fall under the influence. I think all real ones, they went from PlayStation 2, 360, PlayStation 4. The first wrestling game to come out on PlayStation 2 was SmackDown Just Bring It, 2001, bro.
Okay.
And you know, it kind of bugs me out. I be forgetting that the PlayStation 2 came out in 2001 on that list of best wrestling games. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, solid. But I gotta give a shout out to 06 because 06 was the game that got me into Talk Creator. Or created wrestler creator.
Okay.
That game took it to a whole nother level. Like all my real wrestling call creators out here, we remember. In my opinion, it was something that I would expect from him. Now, I don't think people wanted just to hear about how much you love a person that's being accused of the things that Vince McMahon was accused of. But I get the sentiment that he was saying. Regardless of the things that they are going through, I still love this person.
Like what you said on an episode before, there was this period where Impact or TNA was a toxic brand.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And the fact that they and I felt like, you know, when they brought back the TNA and stuff like that, I feel like he was going to be at the helm of it all. Yeah. And the whole fact that they just kind of released him, I'm just kind of like, you know, so what happens now when y'all literally built this big campaign of we are TNA? You know what I'm saying? It's like.
Right here, PJ.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cultural Influence, and you know we back on the grind. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Shout outs to those, shout outs to those who checked us out on that Royal Rumble episode. We were kind of on a rush to get some stuff out, man. But you know, check that out if you haven't. I know probably that does include a lot of predictions from the Royal Rumble. So there's timestamps. Just skip through it and watch the good content.
Skip the whole thing. I ain't hey yo, we got so much wrong.
Now, to be fair, I did pick the right Rumble, but we did get some wrong stuff.
Right.
So you know what? If you want to watch and clown us and our takes, hey, be our guest. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
We take it in stride.
Oh, for sure. But guys, welcome back. We got a good, fun episode. We're continuing our video game series, and we have reached PlayStation 2. And this is going to be a subject that I'm, as a 2000s kid, is going to be very useful in because this is my prime childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of my early childhood memories stem from the PlayStation 2, and wrestling video games is probably one of the big head honchos in video gaming for the PlayStation 2. They're responsible for a lot of the good wrestling video games, PlayStation 2. Then we're going to bring back Raw reactions. Ooh. It's been a while since we've done Raw reactions,
Boy, and we got some reactions for y'all today.
We got some real good Raw reactions.
I think all real ones, they went from PlayStation 2, 360, PlayStation 4, yo.
You know, Richie, I actually agree with you because like there was this period where like it's a good game console when like certain games have the greatest hits with that red bar on it and stuff like that. And was that the case in any of the other game consoles? Like I don't think Xbox had that stuff, did they? Like I feel like
Xbox had their own. I can't remember what they're called. They might have been like Platinum or something like that.
Okay,
something like that.
But I feel like that greatest hits, like when you got that bar, that little red, when it was like a red casing around it, you was in for a banger and stuff like that.
It hit different, man. All right then. So we starting off hot. The first wrestling game to come out on PlayStation 2 was SmackDown Just Bring It, 2001.
Okay.
And you know, it kind of bugs me out. I be forgetting that the PlayStation 2 came out in 2001.
Yeah, I know. Like, especially like considering the games that we were talking about on PlayStation and GameCube, it's like, yo, PlayStation 2 literally came out in the midst of all of that stuff, man.
Man, you know what I'm saying? And Just Bring It was the first game in the SmackDown, in the franchise, to have commentary and full entrances.
Full entrances?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's just go back and revisit some of the episodes that we talked about. In the SmackDown games on PlayStation, they just had that little Titantron behind them.
They would get in the ring, but they wouldn't have like full entrances all the way from the ring all the way into like the entrance and stuff. I mean, into the ring, into the ring.
Okay.
I mean, Just Bring It was a really, really fun game. You know, up to that point, SmackDown was only getting better and better. Matter of fact, SmackDown only got better.
Oh yeah, for real. and so, with that being said, will you say that might be one of the least favorite SmackDown games on PlayStation 2?
Yes, but not in the way that it's a bad thing, because we just kept getting better.
Okay, because of what it was to become.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there are some other entries on this list that are like, okay, that got slept. Not even slept on. That one, we don't have to talk about it, but you know.
Okay.
So, the next one we got in 2002, SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth. You know what I'm saying? Shut Your Mouth was a really good one. You know, it laid the groundwork for Here Comes the Pain, as they're fundamentally similar games. This one had some of the best gameplay ever, and it had a really long season mode. Like, you know,
man, I remember that game. I actually remember playing that game. Now, one thing that most notably stuck out to me was like a lot of the wrestlers, the superstars, looked a little more realistic than the previous wrestling games that we had talked about.
Yes, and there was some of those factors in that game is what made our next entry probably the best one ever. All right, so the next one that comes out in 2003 is Here Comes the Pain. Now, Here Comes the Pain is probably on that short list of wrestling games where everybody's going to bring it up and be like, yo, that's the best wrestling game ever.
You know,
Here Comes the Pain is different though, bro. You know what I'm saying? Here Comes the Pain was one of them ones.
Yeah.
Like, the best, like you were saying on the last one, the main thing I remember is just how diverse the movesets were and how everybody from like the big guys, like, you know, Big Show, Brock Lesnar, they all like, you know, they felt like big guys, but they didn't have the same moves that like, you know, Rob Van Dam or Jeff Hardy or the Hurricane or somebody had.
Yeah.
I just remember the way the bodies moved and the way it was. The gameplay was so fluid, bro.
It was.
Man.
The possibilities were almost endless.
Yeah, it was like that wrestling game where you could just jump in and do pretty much everything at that time. You know,
match-wise.
Match-wise. Like I didn't really feel like I wanted for much. You know, and so I felt like they had got to a place where the gameplay was really good, and they just excelled on that. You know, which is what I'm kind of hoping we get from 2K this year. So, you know. So with that being said, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain was the last of the original SmackDown series. So the next entry in 2004 is SmackDown versus Raw.
Here we go, man.
Hey, and I think we've touched on that before on the other video,
yeah.
But it had the impossible task of living up to the hype that was Here Comes the Pain. And while it didn't live up to, you know, the legendary status of Here Comes the Pain, it set a pretty good precedent for what's about to come.
Okay.
You know? And so now we got SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, which dropped in 05. This always throws me off because, like, every time the game comes out, you're always the year behind.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing, but whatever. But yeah. So 2006, it was the game that introduced GM mode.
GM mode. In 06, they didn't have that in 05, in the first one, did
No,
they?
they did not. GM mode completely changed the game for a lot of people. On that list of best wrestling games, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 was solid. But I gotta give a shout out to 06 because 06 was the game that got me into call creating. Or created wrestler creating.
Okay.
That game took it to a whole nother level. Like all my real wrestling call creators out here, we remember when you had to go on cause.ws and get the formulas down so you can get all these wrestlers, bro. We used to go crazy.
Was the creation suite really like top tier? Was that one thing that stood out from Raw vs. SmackDown 2005 and from SmackDown Here Comes the Pain?
Yeah, because I felt like I could actually create real wrestlers that weren't in the game. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I was really adding people to my roster and not just making created wrestlers. Because I had been, doing that for a while since like Nintendo 64 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to say on Here Comes the Pain, I had created like a Static Shock that I loved. I was like, oh yeah, that's what really made me realize I can like really make characters if they got good stuff in the game. But I just remember the hair was like ass because they never have good black people hair in the video games, but they do now. So
Yeah.
But I just noticed like, in 2006, it was just a much better selection of stuff to do, and you could do pretty much whatever you wanted to do at that time. So following that is SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. So like everything we were saying about the last game, this game built on that installment, and it was one of the best wrestling games ever. The GM mode was incredible. The season mode was great. But I kind of want to talk about some of these season modes a little bit.
Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it, man.
So, Ray, I've been doing most of the talking here. You obviously have a really
soft spot for SmackDown versus Raw 2007. So,
Yes.
what are some of your earliest memories about this game?
Man, well, one thing I gotta say, I want to get deep into it. Let's go ahead and talk about the soundtrack. The freaking soundtrack. If you, like I said, if you a 2000s kid, and when you talk about like Raw vs. SmackDown 2007, I'm pretty sure you gonna have an emo phase in there. You know what I'm saying? Like Raw vs. SmackDown has literally introduced me to rock music that I would never listen to if I hadn't played this game.
Dog, I would walk into Hot Topic like, yeah, I'm one of y'all. Yeah, who know this? I do.
For real. Yeah. And then people will be looking at you like, yo, he really knows this stuff.
Yeah.
This was like, I think what also made Raw vs. SmackDown 2007 great for just, wrestling fans was just, this was like, for Ruthless Aggression fans and kids, this was like peak Ruthless Aggression. You know what I'm saying? Like for kids who witnessed the John Cenas, the Batistas, the Randy Ortons, the Edges, the Shawn Michaels, the Triple H's, that roster was just so jam-packed. You really get a good rub of what Ruthless Aggression was about. And I feel like one of the reasons why No Mercy was just so great, because it was the embodiment of the Attitude Era. Yeah. And Raw vs. SmackDown 2007 was the embodiment of what, you know what I'm saying, of what it is.
There's so much you can get into with that game. I didn't even talk about the Eddie Guerrero storyline from 06. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
man.
There's so much little stuff you could really touch on every single one of these games. It's just not enough time. But yeah,
there's not. And I think 07, when you said story mode, I believe 07 actually was the story modes where the wrestlers, where you actually had audio coming from the characters in the storyline.
Yeah.
Because up until then, you were just getting a lot of like, you would read the little titles and stuff like that. And I remember like you playing the Eddie Guerrero story where he had stole the Undertaker's urn, and like Eddie Guerrero was like actually talking, like you're hearing his voice. You know what I'm saying?
I want to say 06, not even 06. I want to say SmackDown versus Raw.
They had.
I just remember it was very like low.
It was okay. It was.
I mean, it was like super low, and it wasn't that great. But I mean, you gotta start.
Yeah, but 07 was really they mastered the audio levels.
Yeah,
for the story mode.
Yeah, 07 is up there, man. That was a good one. On to SmackDown versus Raw 2008, bro.
Featuring ECW.
Yeah. So yeah. So the one thing I've noted about this one was the GM mode was turned into WWE 24/7 mode.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah. And so it had ECW, but there weren't enough wrestlers to really fill all shows. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a disappointment, but SmackDown versus Raw 2008 was kind of like the not as great predecessor to what was 07.
For what was 07. So okay, good point. So 06 wasn't great because of what followed, and 08 wasn't great because 07 had just had such a huge imprint.
Watch your mouth when you talk about 2007.
What?
06 was good. It was real good. That's why 7 was that good.
That's why 7. Okay, so 06 crawled, so 07 could walk.
Facts. And 08 wasn't a bad game. I remember I played 08. It just wasn't overly memorable.
It wasn't overly memorable. Good point. It wasn't. I mean, I thought ECW as a roster and the ECW hardcore matches was kind of an advanced thing. I remember that in 08. That was one thing that stuck out to me.
And I remember like Bobby Lashley being on the cover. And
you putting people through a table of fire. That was a thing.
Yeah. They did do that.
Jeff Hardy was his first time on the game since he had got released from WWE, and like I remember being a kid and like seeing like Jeff Hardy on the graphic and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, I went crazy.
All right, so SmackDown versus Raw 2009. This one, I remember this one had the Road to WrestleMania. And I really enjoyed the Road to WrestleMania storylines because it would give you like 6 different categories of the stories to do and everything. And it was just a lot of fun. And I liked that part of it. So, hey, listen. So like we said about 07, it did what a yearly title is supposed to do and builds upon it. And it took all the gameplay from 09 and tweaked it and made it better. But it did introduce story design. That was pretty cool because I'd never seen a feature where you could create your own storyline. Yeah. It was kind of clunky at some points, but you could get some pretty good, gameplay out of that.
Yeah, and I thought they did a good job with giving you the tools to make a good story. Like, they didn't just sit there and say you starting from scratch. Like, they gave you elements, they gave you characters, they gave you cut scenes, they gave you locations to pick where you want this story to begin and stuff like that. So kudos to WWE game creators for giving us the recipe.
Yeah, the story design mode was cool. It just, I couldn't find myself building a story longer than playing.
Yeah,
You know,
Speaking of that, man, which year was it when they said create a finisher was a thing? That had to have been 09.
oh yeah, it is funny. After looking all those up, I really didn't see any mention of creative finisher, and I know I was creating crazy finishers.
Yeah.
Yo, we need that. We need to go ahead and get that going. Hashtag bring back creative finisher. Although some of y'all was wilding with the creative finishers. No, cause I remember we were online playing games, so this had to be in the later generation.
No,
Because I remember people would have finishers where they would kick you in the nuts 10 times and then mouth drive you.
Okay.
By this point, guys, a lot of these games are on shared systems. So like we're in 2010 now.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously the PlayStation 3 is out.
Yeah, and the Xbox 360.
Yeah. So a lot of these games are cross generation. So yeah, you're probably definitely right. At this point.
Yeah, now-
Not even probably definitely. That doesn't make sense. You are definitely right. At this point.
Yeah. Now, Richie, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Raw vs. SmackDown 07 on the 360? Because I feel like I was at Vintage Stock actually a few weeks ago, and I was with Rylan, and I was walking down the 360 aisle just for memory's sake, and I saw Raw vs. SmackDown 07 on the 360.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. I think that's the one that I got on 360.
This was the final.
SmackDown vs.
hoo-ha.
Raw. Yeah, it's the last one of it's the last game of the SmackDown vs. Raw era completely.
Mhm.
Its claim to fame was the introduction of Universe Mode.
Universe mode was great. It was very great.
And I remember that first Universe Mode. I really enjoyed it, and it got like to this day I probably don't play Universe Mode as much because it doesn't flow as smoothly as I like.
Yeah.
Because you can go through Universe Mode and you can create everything the way you want it done, and they'll still have Cash Wheeler tagging with Nick Jackson, and I'm just like, yo, I have my tag team set this way for a reason. That doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? My AEW's all out of whack, but you know, it's not perfect, but it doesn't seem to be getting better. You know, it kind of makes me sad.
It peaked.
Yeah, it already peaked.
It peaked in 2011. Well, I mean,
Not 2011.
Yeah, it didn't peak in
Yeah.
2011, but like we had already seen the best as far as second or third generation.
Yeah. I want to say Universe Mode was really good about this third or fourth time around, and like now I expect so much from it. Not even so much. I just expect cohesion and consistency. Where if you put something in there, it stays that way. Or if you set up a storyline, it stays that way. They don't do that in Universe Mode. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. Y'all can help your boy out. Put it in the comments, please. But
correct me if I'm wrong. What was the last? I know we're getting towards the tail end of PlayStation 2. What was the last wrestling game? Was that it?
Last wrestling game
or
on
did WWE
PlayStation
12 come on PlayStation 2?
It did not. The last wrestling game on, I don't know if it's the last wrestling game because somebody else could have tossed one out there.
WWE.
But the last WWE game on PlayStation 2 is WWE All Stars.
That was on PlayStation 2?
It was on PlayStation 2.
What? That's, man. Any of y'all own All Stars on PlayStation 2? Please comment.
Yeah. God bless y'all, because y'all
Man, I think
Boy.
I even had that on 360. Like I had finally transitioned to 360 around that time.
Yeah, that PlayStation must have sounded like a jet engine trying to run that shit.
What? That was the last one?
Yeah.
Man. Like I could play in a 2024 version of Ray. I feel like I could play All Stars on my app as an app on my phone.
Oh, but 2011 is a really long time ago.
It
You know what I'm
was.
saying? Especially in like gaming time, that's, prehistoric almost.
That's
now.
10 plus, man.
And so if you look back, it does look pretty, dated at this point. And yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the overly sized, cartoony looking wrestlers and stuff like that. But the deviation from the simulation series that was like SmackDown versus Raw at that time, it was fun.
It was
You know
fun.
what I'm saying? It didn't take itself too seriously, and it was just like, you could go in there and have a blast. There wasn't a lot of depth though. I remember like after you did the story mode or whatever, you were kind of done. After every wrestler only had so many moves and stuff like that. So not a whole lot of replayability, but it was fun when you played.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and talk about some honorable mentions. I'm thinking about this out loud in my head. TNA Impact.
Shout out to TNA Impact. I had that. I had it on 360.
That was the lone TNA wrestling game. So
And the graphics to this day
look great.
Yeah.
Y'all did Booker T justice.
Man, there was games that Booker T was on after this that look like ass.
Yeah.
So, I remember the AJ Styles looked really great.
Yeah, the entrance was great.
Playing Ultimate X was amazing. I ain't gonna say amazing. I was kind of overdoing it, but it was fun.
Yeah. I don't know why Suicide stuck out to me out of all people.
Bro, they created Suicide for a video game, and he kind of still pops up every now and then to this day.
He sure do. Legends of WrestleMania. That was the one game that was compatible with Raw versus SmackDown 2010 or 2009. Don't quote me on it, but I thought that was pretty cool to get. Cool to get like legends of back in the day to mix it and mingle with wrestlers of the present day at that time.
Yeah.
One thing that
Showdown.
Yeah, Showdown.
Legends of Wrestling.
I remember that game.
Yeah. Y'all remember that one? Yup.
Yeah, I remember that game. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now that we've ran down all of the PlayStation games, what is your favorite PlayStation game? PlayStation 2.
Richie, now that we talk about this and stuff like that, it's a good point that you had mentioned earlier. Like, one of the reasons why we talk about the variety and the amount of great wrestling games that was on the PlayStation 2, and I feel like Here Comes the Pain and Raw vs. SmackDown 2007. I feel like there's no other console where you got two really, really good video games. Like, can you name another wrestling console that had two good wrestling video games like Raw vs. SmackDown 2007 and Here Comes the Pain? Like, we had talked about the GameCube. For those of you who haven't checked it out, by the way. But like Day of Reckoning 2. But I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these two games are literally the one of the barriers of wrestling video games and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, do you think is that one of the reasons why you think the PlayStation 2 had so much variety? And then I also think this though, the PlayStation 2 had a long run from literally 2001 all the way into 2011. That's 10 years that PlayStation 2 was literally like running shit in the video game industry.
You're right. Yeah. I think that's a part of it, just because, like I said earlier, they had a lot of games.
They had a lot, man.
You know what other console had a lot of games?
What?
64.
The 64 showed.
Nintendo 64 had multiple great wrestling games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why I said my top two consoles are probably Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 2. Mostly for me because they have incredible wrestling games.
They had incredible, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that's fair to say. When I look at the current state of video games, since they're yearly releases, it's hard to be like, oh yeah, this year is better than that year. But that's definitely the case.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to take that into account. And it's no discredit to any of the previous games.
Yeah. And with 2K having been rebooted, we've probably had the lowest load that we've seen in the video game in a long time, which is 2K20. We've had several really solid games coming up out of that, super low point of wrestling video games. True. Obviously, there was nowhere to go but up from there. But it's been surprisingly really consistent,
Yeah.
But one thing I'll say that is cool about the upcoming gaming future is that there's more independent wrestling games that appear to be on the horizon. So I don't know. So your top games are going to be Here Comes the Pain and 07?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say Here Comes the Pain because, like, for me personally, I like Shut Your Mouth more. But I think Raw vs. SmackDown 2007 is by far the best PlayStation 2 video game.
And because he said that, I am going to go with SmackDown Here Comes the Pain.
There you guys have it, man.
You know what I'm saying? But shout outs to PlayStation 2 and SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, shout outs to PlayStation 2 for making my childhood lit, man. You know what I'm saying? This is peak ruthless aggression era right here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, but let's get ready for some hot tag. Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cultural Influence. Shout outs to Richie once again, being the video game man and helping us, revisit our video game journey, man.
Out here playing games, man.
Yeah, man. The grind is real, man.
It's real, bro.
Years of wear and tear.
Okay, finna come out in 2 weeks, baby. I'm ready.
Yeah. The wear and tear on our hands is real, man. Carpal tunnel. But this wouldn't be Cultural Influence without going over the hottest stories in all of professional wrestling in the form of A hot tag. Now, as much as I really want to revisit the, because I think like that whole Vince McMahon stuff has happened. I don't think we've been on here and we really talked about the Vince McMahon situation.
Yeah.
But let's not waste our time on that because I'm pretty sure everybody knows what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Vince is very a controversial subject, and here at Cultural Influence, we try to avoid as much controversy as possible. But
controversy creates cash, in the words of somebody that we know, Eric Bischoff. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think we're gonna call him Vince anymore. We're gonna call him V Diddy. You know what I'm saying?
V Diddy.
Our man's V Diddy was out here having the wild WWE freak offs. You know what I'm saying? Getting buck nasty with it. And yo, and we should have known Vince McMahon was a nasty nigga after all the shit that he's done on TV.
Yeah.
You know, because it's crazy seeing those text messages and reading them out loud and being like, yo, that was him.
Yeah.
She didn't make that up.
That was him. Yeah.
She didn't fake that, bro.
You can't make no stuff up like that, bro.
Bro, it was nasty behavior. You know, obviously we here at Culture Influence don't stand by any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
We don't.
It was just really insane to understand that. Not even understand. Sorry. You good. It's just really crazy to see that people you grew up, I don't want to say idolizing because I never at any point in my life idolized Vince McMahon, but I completely was enamored with the product that he gave me as a child growing up.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So it was wild seeing people that you've been aware of your entire life and look to for entertainment be outed as, you know, monsters, bro. You know, it's just really crazy. And then to even think that other people that you may have been fans of were implicated in it, it's a very nasty situation, bro.
Very nasty,
you know?
man. And it's so nasty to the point where it's like when your talent is getting asked these things and it's like you can't, it's really hard to like, not, you know what I'm saying? Because it's inevitable, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which brings us to the story of John Cena, man. He's been a trending subject in the last 24 hours, you know what I'm saying? He's been obviously asked about by numerous wrestlers who are currently employed by TKO about the Vince McMahon allegations. Seth had said some stuff. I believe Cody had said some stuff, you know what I'm saying? And so, of course, the face that used to run the place, you know, John Cena was asked about it. And he said some things that a lot of people aren't really too happy about.
Yeah. And you know, if you know John Cena, this isn't too far from the John Cena wheelhouse. You know, Vince McMahon is somebody that John Cena has openly admired, you know, and his response wasn't anything too crazy, in my opinion. It was something that I would expect from him. Now, I don't think people wanted just to hear about how much you love a person that's being accused of the things that Vince McMahon was accused of, but I get the sentiment that he was saying. Regardless of the things that they are going through, I still love this person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And so, like, whether it be like a friend or family member, I think we all have somebody that might have, you know, gone through a situation that wasn't something you could necessarily agree with or stand on, but you still got to love them through that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I can understand what John Cena is saying there. Maybe he could have said it better.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And I think there's also the thing of loving someone from afar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, WWE has kind of shown that they're not, that they're not, because they literally are erasing him from every, you know, removing him. I ain't gonna say erase, removing him and stuff like that. And I feel like John Cena is loving Vince from afar. And I mean, like, maybe he could have said that and stuff like that. And I feel like John Cena has built this reputation because, like, John Cena is going to get asked controversial questions. Yeah. And when he was asked about the emergence of AEW, he gave you the most political based answer. And I think John Cena was probably trying to give you a political based answer, but the whole fact that this Vince McMahon investigation has went around, it's been going on for about a month now. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like John Cena had plenty of time to kind of be prepared to ask that question.
Yeah, exactly. I was somebody of John Cena's caliber. I would expect him to be a little more better prepared for that type of question.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah.
Do I think John Cena has seen some things? Absolutely.
You think he saw some stuff?
Oh, come on, man. I know John Cena's seen some of the freak offs. I know he's seen the freak offs.
I mean, like, if we go
been in them, you know what I'm saying? Like, hell, like, and I don't want to put that on nobody's jacket or whatever, but like, these are people that are all running in the same circles. Like, Cena was dating Bellas, and we know Johnny Ace was giving it up. And like, listen, man, it was
Cena was in that circle.
It was some nasty shit going on, B.
Because if Brock was in that circle, it's good to say that Cena was in.
I'm not trying to put nobody where, but I'm just saying.
Okay, but that makes me wonder, like, you know how him and Taker was, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, but I don't think Taker be rocking with that shit. I can't say that.
I ain't putting that on nobody's jacket.
Vince done opened up such a big can of worms, though, man. But
yeah.
I feel like I heard rest in peace Scott Hall. I feel like I heard Scott Hall saying like when that page leak happened, Scott Hall said, "Oh man, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Y'all ain't seen shit." Bro, and I'm seeing what Scott was talking about.
I've seen Kurt Angle say things where he was like, "Vince, you can't be doing this. You're the boss of the company." You know, like, yo, V Diddy is a wild boy. We already knew he was wild, but like him confirming it to to this level, bro. You got sex toys named after wrestlers.
Hey, yo, these are creations. These are Vince McMahon creations. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
How do you think R-Truth is gonna dap him up the next time he see him? Like, oh, bro, got a whole, you know what I'm saying? Shaboing Boing named after me, but it's my man's.
What's up, boss? I love you, bro.
Can you do that?
Nah, I can't.
Can you do that?
I can't do that.
Okay.
Man.
Anybody out there? Y'all got like sex toys named after your best homie?
Let's go ahead and talk about a former employee of Vinnie Mac. I don't think there's no sex doll named after Sasha Banks, but let's talk about Mercedes Money.
Money. Listen, man. What was it? Boston. You know what I'm saying? Was it big business in Boston?
Boston with the dollar signs.
With the dollar sign, two of them, you know, with a very familiar color scheme, you know?
Yeah, apparently AEW paid up. Now, a lot of people, one thing I want to make clear is I think a lot of people are saying like she's overestimating her value and stuff like that. But apparently, all that Sasha had asked for, because she was in negotiations with them, she was asked to get paid equivalent to the Beckys and the Charlottes. And apparently, because on her last WWE deal, she was getting paid less than Carmella and Alexa Bliss and all of that type of stuff. And I'm gonna just sit there and say respectfully, I mean, I kind of see why Sasha might have been asking. Mercedes should have been asking her for a little bit of more, if we just being real here.
Yeah.
And she's an underrated workhorse in the WWE, you know what I'm saying? I think like out of the four horsewomen, when it comes to maybe wrestler, I think Mercedes might be the best of all four. You know what I'm saying? Wrestler, like technically gifted. You know what I'm saying? Becky is up there, but I think that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Just being able to negotiate now. There could be some conflicting reports, but she was asking for an excruciating high amount, because I know Becky Lynch is like really one of the top dogs.
Yeah. Becky get the bag.
Yeah, she probably getting the bag and stuff like that. So maybe she was asking for Becky type numbers and stuff like that. But come on now, like Carmella and Alexa Bliss, you know.
Nobody knows the numbers, because one thing I've learned about Sasha Banks is whenever it comes to dirt sheets, they are never fair with Sasha Banks.
They are.
Sasha Banks could be asking for her fair shake. Sasha Banks could be asking for equality, and because she is a black woman in a predominantly white male industry, she's always going to get shit for it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Even somebody like Naomi, who's always kept her head above the water, who doesn't beef with nobody, who's universally loved. The moment they heard she walked out, they all shit
with
on her.
Sasha.
Yeah. So it's almost like they take it offensively when somebody that looks like Sasha and Naomi knows their value and knows their worth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So even if she asked for that amount of money, who are they to tell her she isn't worth that?
Exactly.
Because when you said Sasha Banks she is the best of the four horsemen. Sasha Banks has always been the best wrestler in the four.
She got a banger with each and every single one of them.
Every single one of those women, their best matches are always with Sasha. Now, I think a great argument can be made that Becky is the biggest draw of the four horsewomen.
Yeah.
Because I remember when Charlotte went to NXT, she ain't moved the needle.
She didn't.
Becky went down there. She moved the needle, bruh.
Yeah.
Sasha and Bayley had spent some time at 2.0. They didn't really do what Becky did. I feel like Becky might be the bigger draw, but when it comes to in-ring work, don't get no better than Sasha Banks.
It doesn't.
Mercedes Moné. So pay her everything she needs, because you getting a world-class talent here. And she might not be around wrestling for the longest. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
I'm not mad at Mercedes for going to get the bag if she went and got the bag. They're doing a business where they hurt their bodies every day. You know what I'm saying? So
for crying out loud.
Yeah. Get paid.
Get the bag while you can. Yeah.
Get paid.
For sure. But let's go ahead and talk about and switch gears to some other wrestling world business. We're going to talk about TNA, because I feel like TNA has been the, you know what I'm saying, kind of the talk of the wrestling world.
Little engine that could, man.
Yeah, the little engine that could. They've always been known as that. And I guess one of the key parts in the engine going is being replaced, should you say. Yeah.
And it's mighty sad here because we were literally just praising this man's work here the last time we were here doing this. Scott D'Amore has been fired from TNA Wrestling. Apparently, he tried to buy the company from Anthem. He had a legitimate backer, a financial partner that was going to give him what he needed to get what he had to get. And Anthem cut ties with him immediately. Now, obviously, this didn't go over well with a lot of the TNA roster. Josh Alexander was very vocal about how he felt about, what happened. Moose even said a few things. He said if Scott D'Amore wasn't there, I wouldn't be there. And so I can understand how a lot of those talents feel kind of, slighted by Anthem for that. They've all kind of stood up and said something. Man. And so you just hate to see that because that man literally put TNA on his back, turned it around, turned it from a joke again. Turned it from a joke into like a legitimate third contender again. He's changed all the momentum that TNA had,
and they got positive. And it's like what you said on an episode before. There was this period where Impact or TNA was a toxic brand. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that and I felt like, when they brought back the TNA and stuff like that, I feel like he was going to be at the helm of it all. Yeah. And the whole fact that they just kind of released him, I'm just kind of like, so what happens now when y'all literally built this big campaign of we are TNA? You know what I'm saying? It's like, so on behalf of Scott D'Amore, F that bird. Yeah. But guys, that's it for Hot Tags. Let's go ahead and get ready for Raw reactions. Welcome back to Cultural Influence. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope that you guys are enjoying this episode. And we have reached this part in the podcast. Well, it's not even a regular segment that I do. We pull it out every now and then. It's been a while since we've done Raw reactions.
Yeah.
But in this segment, Raw Reactions is where me and Richie, we react to trending videos over the internet, and we all understand that the visual spectacle that is wrestling can sometimes require a Raw reaction. So on this video you're about to see was a Dynamite taping where that saw Madison Rayne, shout outs to the TNA legend, take on Deona Purrazzo. Deona Purrazzo. Wasn't she in NXT?
Yeah. NXT, TNA.
Yeah, so she's had her fair share of being in the ring, and let's just say this match, it was a bad day in the office, should you say?
So you think there was a miscommunication there?
Miscommunication. I don't know what she was going for. Like, the original video was shout outs to our boy Top Dollar, but he got it off the face of the internet. But I think that was a Spanish fly. I think that she was. I just didn't see her arc, and maybe she shot up or whatever.
Yeah, but I think she was thinking for like the standing Spanish fly because it looked like she kind of over rotated. That kind of looked like it was more.
Yeah, it looked like
Madison.
It looked like Madison was actually more prepared than Deona was because, like, as you can see when they landed, I didn't see Purrazzo's feet lift and come from the mat.
Well, because it looks like Deona Purrazzo was just supposed to hit her with like a flatliner.
Oh,
it looks like Deona's thinking flatliner and she's thinking Spanish fly. So while she's just going straight back, she did a flip, and so she kind of got spiked.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that was a little tough one, man.
Yeah,
I've always was impressed with the Spanish fly as a kid. Was it Paul? Who's that one?
Paul Burchill.
Paul Burchill. Yeah. Was he? He wasn't the creator of that movie.
I don't know, but he was the first person I think I saw do it. I think so.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those moves that you need communication from the other opponent that you're doing it to, because they're doing a whole front flip, meanwhile you're doing a back flip.
Yeah, and that's things happen, and I just hope Madison Rayne's okay. Miscommunications happen, mistimings happen, and I mean just a split second can change a move from landing perfectly to ending your career. So,
and I think every wrestler understands the risk that they're taking when they go in.
Yeah. Like we were saying earlier about Mercedes Moné going to get her money. Like this is stuff people do for their life. She could have been paralyzed right then and there. You know what I'm saying? And then somebody's going to try to tell a wrestler that they don't think they're worth this amount of money. Who are you?
I know, right? Yeah. I was about to ask you a question. Would you be the guy that would want to take a Spanish fly or give the Spanish fly?
Taking the Spanish fly. Pause. Taking the.
I'm keeping that in there. I hope you know.
I would sell it really well.
You would sell. Yeah.
I'd sell it really well. I'll just put it that way.
True. Because I feel like you're still taking the brunt of the bump if you're flipping forward. Because like the person that's giving it could potentially land somewhat on you.
I just know if we're doing a standing position, I can do a front flip better than I can do a back flip.
Yeah, true.
That's
true.
for sure.
Because backflips, you're gonna go. I'm more prone to going crooked.
yeah. So I'll definitely I can do the front flip. The back flip, I might end up like this.
Gotcha. Yeah. But best wishes to both performers and stuff like
Most
that.
definitely,
You know what I'm
most
saying? I don't. So you don't think Purrazzo's at fault here?
Nah. I think it was just a miscommunication, and I think that might have been on Madison, but it doesn't matter whose fault it is. I just hope she's okay.
As we bring it to a close here on cultural influence, we always got to have some fun, engaging activities. And on this edition, we're not doing a game. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Elimination Chamber. And Richie, you got this activity down for us. So go ahead and tell us what we're doing.
And I think it would be fun to fantasy book our dream Elimination Chamber matches.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So I think the premise of this here is just name 6 superstars from any era, any promotion, just wrestlers from anywhere, and the 6 people that you would like to see the most go crazy in an Elimination Chamber, and who would you have coming out?
Okay, who would I have coming out on top? Okay, cool. So, I'm going to start. I'm putting 2 guys that wrestled that I really didn't get to witness their greatness. For some reason, man, I've always kind of wanted to see Bret Hart in an Elimination Chamber. I want to start and I'm gonna put Bret Hart in there. Okay, to kind of represent that 90s wave. And another guy that I really didn't experience the greatness in. I hear so many stories about him and stuff like that, and how he's really dangerous and stuff like that. And I'm gonna put Steve Blackman in there.
Wow,
the Lethal Weapon.
Wow,
man.
Keep him locked up.
Yeah. So those are the 2 guys that I really didn't get to experience. But I feel like Bret Hart, you got a technician god in there. So this is going to be peak Bret Hart.
Okay.
You're gonna have the Lethal Weapon, that is Steve Blackman on one end. For my high flyer, I always want to put a high flyer in there. I think I want to put who do I want to put in there with I think I want to put Neville in there, man. I think a Neville
would be really good.
Yeah, a Red Arrow off the pod, you know what I'm saying, would be a good one. A 4th guy, I kind of want a big guy in there. I think I'm going to put Braun Strowman in there.
Okay.
So Braun Strowman, okay? All right. I think this guy, you can't go wrong with this guy. He won the first one, and I feel like we could really tell a story with the chamber match. I'm going to put 90s Shawn Michaels in there. I said Bret Hart, and I feel like that could be the story that could be told in an Elimination Chamber. You know what I'm saying?
It would have to come down to those 2. Huh?
It would have to come down to those 2, and you could spend a majority of the match of a 90s Shawn, hiding in the pod from Bret Hart. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah. Good. Ooh, I'm about to be different. MJF. Current heel. There you have it right there. So in my dream match Elimination Chamber, you're gonna have Bret Hart, the Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman, Braun Strowman, Neville, Shawn Michaels in the 90s, and you're gonna have MJF.
So first off, if I in my dream Elimination Chamber match, I'm going to put AJ Styles in there. Okay. Because of course. Then I'm going to put HBK in there.
Okay. What era of HBK?
1996 HBK.
Oh, asshole HBK.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's HBK I want. And then I'm going to put Undertaker in there. Okay. I would either say like 07 Taker or maybe 98 Taker.
98 Taker. Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For my 4th person, I think I'm gonna put Kenny Omega in there, yo.
Ooh, I like that.
Y'all. Can y'all imagine
I like that AEW rub.
Sweeping niggas up in there?
Yeah, for real.
Man. I kind of want another big guy to kind of duke it out. And just because this would just be incredible. And Brock Lesnar.
Ooh, I like that.
I gotta have Brock in the elimination. Can you imagine him and Kenny Omega going at it?
Yeah, him just throwing Kenny around and Kenny selling the hell out of him.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, then you can kind of get that Taker and Brock rekindle feud.
It's just hands, right?
What Brock though? Would you get like Ruthless Aggression Brock, or would you get like Cowboy Brock, or would you get Suplex City Brock?
I think I'm gonna go with Cowboy Brock.
Cowboy Brock, that's respect.
And for my last person, like when you say you wanted like a technical master, I think I'm kind of going that way too.
Okay,
I need somebody that's gonna whip out a submission at any chance, and a part of me wants to go with Bryan Danielson, but I think I'm gonna go with Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle, ooh, that would look okay. Wrestling machine,
Kurt Angle
or Perk. Well, Perk ain't gonna wrestle machine.
I don't want Perk.
You don't want Perk Angle?
I don't want Perk. I don't want Perk. I want regular Kurt.
Yeah,
not even regular Kurt. Wrestling machine Kurt. Like, just the idea of like Kurt, Kenny Omega.
Oh my god!
AJ, well, we saw AJ and Kurt in TNA.
Taker and Brock.
Taker. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wrestling machine Kurt versus Cowboy Brock.
That could go to anybody.
That could go to anybody. Yeah,
that could go to anybody, man. Yeah. If I had to put it on somebody though, I think it just depends on which Taker I pick. If it's 07 Taker, it's probably gonna be Taker. If it's 98 Taker, I don't know. But, but I'm gonna go with Taker.
Yeah. But guys, comment what is your dream Elimination Chamber match, or comment a wrestler that you ain't never seen in an Elimination Chamber that will look badass in it.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, because Steve Blackman, he just, that was the first mind that popped up in my mind.
Yeah, it would be great to see somebody like him inside of there. So yeah, I'd love to see the picks you guys have out there. And yeah, man, fuck with us.
For sure. But guys, we are all out of time right here on Cultural Influence. Thanks for listening and watching. You can make sure and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and anywhere else you hear a whole bunch of podcasts at. And Cultural Influence will be soon becoming a live podcast, so please be on the lookout for that, and please interact with us and stuff like that. Like, I would love to do a podcast where we do it live and the episode just goes elsewhere, but that's the magic of live streaming. So I'm excited to work on that with you guys and stuff like that, and continue to grow and learn and build this podcast bigger than what it is. Until next time, I'm Ray.
I'm Richie.
We out here.